Morning, everybody. How are we all doing this morning? Good? Delighted to see so many of you here. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lindy. I'm an account manager here in the Dublin offices looking after some of Ireland's largest advertisers, and I am also heading up the breakfast briefing team here alongside my colleague Carl, who I'm sure you've met before. It feels like ages since I've been up here in front of you, and a lot has changed and a lot hasn't changed. But what is constantly growing and becoming ever more complex are how our customers are purchasing and finding out information online, and how many devices and complexities there are involved before they choose to make their purchase. This morning, we're going to hear from two experts in this field, David and Lien. David, who looks after some of the UK's largest advertisers, specialising in how they can build their audience strategies to help grow their business. And Lien, who has partnered with him on this journey to really grow those solutions for her clients. Over the next hour, you're going to hear on some tips, some tricks, resources, and strategies on how you can potentially help scale these to your businesses or bring them into your digital strategy. So I'm not going to stand up here any longer because there actually is a huge amount to get through. So ladies and gentlemen, can you help me give David and Lien a big warm welcome to the stage? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lyndon. So yes, my name is Dave McGinley. I am an audience lead for Google UKI, and I'm joined today by Lien as well.
And hi, I'm Lien Tran. I'm a senior account manager here, and like Lindy said, I work with advertisers, especially in the retail industry in the UK. And we've done a lot of audience work with our advertisers, so we'll be able to share our learnings with you guys.
Exactly. So this morning, we're really going to help you understand everything about audience. It's a brilliant targeting type, and we're going to see how we can help you talk to the customers that you already have, or the ones that are engaging with you, how you can help reach new people that you don't know yet, and then Lien is going to show you exactly how to put it all into practice in your accounts. So in the spirit of getting to know us today, I have segmented myself into various different audiences for you. So if you want to go target me in the morning, this is exactly how you're going to go and do it. So I'm male, I'm on the right side of 25 to 34. I love gaming and technology, and in terms of things I'm looking to buy right now, it's a new car, and I'm also looking to get some artificial grass as well. Lien, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm 25 to 34, very much on the left side of that. So the things that I'm passionate about is hip-hop. My colleagues will know this. So the dance, the music, the gigs. I was at the Drake concert recently, along with every teenager in Dublin. And also, I'm actually leaving Ireland, so I'm relocating. This is one of the last few days I have here, and I'm thrilled to be spending it with you guys. So that means I'm in the market for one-way flights. I'm going to be apartment hunting. I'm going to be looking for home goods and packing services. So that's what I'm in the market for. Speaking of things that we're in the market for, undoubtedly at any given moment, all of us are in the market for something, and we actually want to know what you guys are in the market for. So I want you guys to think of the most interesting, unique thing that you're currently in the market for. I don't know, tell us a little bit about it. Maybe it's a pram because you're a new parent. Maybe it's artificial grass like Dave because you're renovating your home. So have a think about that, think about what it is, and at the end of the presentation, we'll come back and we'll ask you, and we have a goodie bag to give out to the most interesting answer, okay? So don't forget that, we'll come back to that.
Cool, thank you, Lien. So I'm going to talk to you today about what is audience targeting first, and helping you understand a little bit more about it. So as most of us are marketers in the room, we've always segmented people into various different categories. If you're from Donegal, like myself, or if you're from Dingle, if you're a millennial or you're a different age group, if you're male or female, we've always done that to send a different message to various different parts of the population. And that's the same when it comes to everything else. On search, like you normally use a keyword to segment everyone out there to people who are looking for that specific keyword. So in this example here, myself, I'm looking for artificial grass at the moment. If I typed it into Google search in the morning, I'll get some good results. I'll get some good ads as well. But audiences can help give keywords context. So in this example here, say if I am a retailer of artificial grass and I visited their site before, then that gives me a little bit more flavor to the ad that I'm going to send to that person. That means I've been to their site before, but I didn't convert on that go, or didn't request for a brochure, for example. So that gives that advertiser a chance then to say something different to me. Maybe it's a case of they want to talk about a sale that they're having, or a new product, or it could just be about speed of delivery. It helps you customize your conversations a little bit more. And all the different targeting types that I'll walk you through today will help you do that in different ways as well. So as I mentioned on search, you have your keywords and your audiences are layered on top of that. Day one, you'll get some really good insights about who's actually searching for those terms, but you can also action against that as well with bid modifiers, or you've always got things like smart bidding, which you would have heard about in the last breakfast briefing. When it comes to other advertising products that we have at Google, such as Gmail ads, display, video, audiences are going to be your key way of targeting outside Google search. They don't have that keyword as the hook. So audiences do all the work for you across Google Ads and into GMP as well. I'm just building on that example a little bit more. So say, for example, if I'm a business owner, I've got these 3 people who are in my business. I'm going to think about how I can talk to them in a very different way. So this person over here, female, 24, they're a renter, they're a high-value customer, and they purchased again last week. That's someone I really want to keep. So in terms of all the different messaging I'm going to send to that person, I want to focus on building loyalty. So maybe it's VIP discounts or really good delivery services that that person might not know about. But conversely, this gentleman in the middle is 33 years old. He's a homeowner. He visited my site, but he didn't buy yet. And he's also looking to buy my product. So already I know that he's a homeowner. I might want to send him a different message if I'm a furniture retailer. Visited my site but didn't buy yet. Okay, so he's engaging with me, and he's also in the market to actually buy something. So that's someone who's probably very time sensitive, and in terms of my messaging, I might need to focus on free delivery or speedy delivery, or might be some great discounts that are out there as well. Then finally, you got this person here is female, 78, and downsizing. Never heard of my business and likes handbag YouTube reviews, for example. So that's someone where I don't know a huge amount about them. They've never engaged with my business before. So I need to rely on some different audience targeting types, like some of our Google audiences, to reach that type of person. And we can help you do that as well. So this is the framework I'm going to walk you through today, and I'm going to fill this out later on with all the different product terms that we have. But basically, just to introduce it to you, I normally think of audience in 2 different buckets. So people you know, like I know Leanne and Lyndon quite well, and people that you don't know yet. So all of you good people here today as well. So in terms of people that you know, you'll have your customers or people who are visiting your site, calling into your call centers, coming into your stores. And then in terms of Google audiences, people who look like your customers, people who are looking to buy something right now, people who love certain things, and then also who they are. So all the different demographical data that we can share with you as well. So in terms of people that you know, one key mistake that I see a lot of my clients fall into is that they really just focus on this bucket over here. They get their remarketing tag on their website, they start making a few lists, and it's job done. But there's a huge amount of data that most of you in the room is already collecting, but it's very key to action that as well. So things like bringing your offline data online. Maybe there are some customers that just don't shop with you online. Bringing them online helps you connect them in a different way. And also in terms of app advertising as well. A lot of people have apps out there, but don't put any sort of way of passing those users back into a Google Ads campaign. So you're really starting to miss out on a huge amount of addressable audience. So when it comes to your website, a remarketing tag is really good. It'll help you collect people who visited certain pages or certain types of pages. It's a great way to get started. But you also have Google Analytics, and that helps you gain a lot more insight about those users, and I'll walk through that in the next slide. You've also got Customer Match, so that'll help you bring your CRM data online. And then in terms of your app as well, we've got a little tool called Firebase, which helps you give some insight and pass those users back into Google Ads. And we also work with tons of different third parties as well. So when it comes to Google Analytics, hands up in the room, who here is using it in the business? Good amount of hands. Hands up if you're using it for audiences. Less hands. Okay. Google Analytics, it's like when I first came into Google, I normally thought of it as that tool that my boss was asking me, how much traffic did your blog post get, or how many people converted. I never really thought of it as a way to actually gain audiences. It's a great way of getting further and deeper insights about the user journey, and that helps us build the audiences that we want to. And it also is very capable of being one single hub for all your different audiences, so all those 3 touch points that I just walked through. But also it uses a lot of our machine learning technology as well to help you sift through everyone who comes into those different touch points and helps you focus on the users that you really want to talk to. So there's some regular types of lists that you might want to have. So your goal funnels, for example. So did someone reach your cart page? Did someone convert? You've got your rule page lists. So did someone reach page X? And you can have multiple different combinations of that. You've got custom dimensions. So I work primarily with retailers, something I use a lot, because there's certain bits of data that Google Analytics just doesn't naturally capture. So if you are doing dynamic remarketing, for example, that's where you need to collect the ID of every single product on your website. That's where custom dimensions would come in. And then you've also got state-based audiences as well. So the way that I like to think about that with my clients is I make one for, are you a customer, are you not a customer? And then I can apply that to any other list that I'm making. So to give you an example, if you're a cart abandoner, for example, you forgot to check out, you might want to send a very different message to someone who has never shopped with you before and who is a cart abandoner than someone who's a regular customer and also forgot to convert. Then there's also some new types of lists that you can use as well. So the first one here is called a smart list. So if you've ever used an all visitors list, it's very similar to that. But what we do is that we look at the on-site behavior of everyone who's on your website and use our machine learning technology to sift through everyone who came to your website and say, are you likely to convert or are you not likely to convert? If you're not likely to convert, then you just get removed from the list. So as you can see, it's a really powerful way to start making your audiences a little bit smarter. When it comes to session quality and conversion probability, these are two really cool ones as well. So a little bit more customized. I really love conversion probability. What we do is we rank everyone who comes to your website, just like SmartList does, on a scale of 1 to 100. And we give you the control to say, I want to target the top 30% of people who are likely to convert and combine them with any of the other different types of lists. Conversely, you might want to exclude the bottom 20% from your activity. It's totally something that you can do with conversion probability-based audiences. And I also mentioned CRM and app in the last slide as well. There's a CRM onboarder tool for Google Analytics, so you can push all of that into Google Analytics, work your way around that, and then export it back into Google Ads. And the same with app audiences. There's tons of integrations there. So very quickly, you can start to see it's becoming your one single hub for all your different audiences. And then you've also got the Analytics Solutions Gallery. So there's already been a ton of work done there by Googlers and by the community on different pre-packaged audience segments. So if you're a little bit lazier like me, you can just go in there, have a look at a few of them, and apply them to the data that you're using as well, which is really neat. So a quick recap in this section. We're looking at people that you know around remarketing and customer match. So that's people who've bought from you and people who've engaged with you. And across your different touch points, Google Analytics can do a lot of the heavy lifting. From things like smart lists, which sift through everyone who comes to your site. You can onboard your CRM data, and you can also integrate your app data as well. I have a little bit of an ask for you as well. So if you get back to your desk today, have a look at linking your Google Analytics account to your Google Ads account if you haven't done so yet. Try making a smart list, and anywhere that you're using a catch-all list or an all-visitor list, try testing out a smart list and see how it performs. Because it's using that machine learning in the background, it should definitely help you with your day-to-day performance. Cool. And then on to people that you don't know yet. So, like all of you good people, there's various different ways of reaching you. So, building back on our hook from earlier, we have 4 different audience types that I'll talk through in a second. So at Google, we're really unique to help you find we're uniquely placed to help you find new customers because we've got 7 different platforms with over 1 billion users each. So that gives us a ton of insight into behavior and intents that are out there. And I'll walk through each of these now. So we've got similar audiences, so people who are similar to your customers. You've got in-market segments, so people are looking to buy something right now. Affinity segments, so they're audiences that are really passionate about something like myself with gaming. And you've got demographic data as well. And we've got tons of new demographics that we'll walk you through today as well. So first off, I'm going to start with my favorite, which is always going to be intent. So people who are looking to buy something right now. So hands up in the room, who's heard of in-market audiences before? Good few hands. So this has been kicking around on display and video for a few years now. Last year, it just came out to search. And essentially, it's pre-built audience segments of people who are actively looking to buy something right now. And to give you a bit of an insight, that's over the last 48 hours. If someone's already bought, they get removed from the list. And if someone stops showing the intent, they get removed from the list as well. So it's always guaranteed to be the freshest data that you have out there. And there's tons of different segments. The few of them that I kind of see commonly used are like travel, home and garden, and cars. And that works across search, display, and video. Now, when it comes to display and video as well, if you want to go a little bit more niche, because it doesn't have the keyword, you need to do something else. So that's where we have custom intent audiences. So because search has the keyword, you're overlaying an in-market audience on a keyword, which is great. For display, you have to build them yourself. So you build them with keywords and URLs to define a certain audience. So what they would be browsing or what they'd be looking at if they were in the market for it. So to give you an example here, electric car is not a pre-built segment that we've got made yet, maybe in the future. If you wanted to make that, you would want to start using URLs like maybe electric car, maybe different brands of electric car as well, like Nissan Leaf or a Tesla, and then maybe different URLs that audience might be interested in. So that might be the different kind of tech blogs that are out there. It might be the electric car YouTubers that are out there as well. And very quickly, once you've done that, we'll start giving you insights on the audience that you created. So what's the age breakdown, what's the gender breakdown, and give you more insights about that as well. So the sky is really the limit. When you go into custom intent audiences in the system, we've already got hundreds of thousands of different examples already there. We can help share those with you and bubble them up based on what's most relevant for your account as well. With similar audiences as well, these are going to help you find people who look like the people that are going to be on your remarketing list. So all the work that you did earlier in terms of making really sophisticated audience lists is going to help you when it comes to similar audiences. So it uses Google's machine learning to understand what are the characteristics and the similarities and different patterns of behavior across our different properties and help you reach those customers. So say, for example, if you have an all converters list, on search, we'll find people who search for similar terms. On video, we'll find people who watch similar videos. And on display, we'll look at things at different sites they would have browsed as well. So we can see various different ways that we can help start making those similar audiences for you. And be it a customer match list or a remarketing list, it works in the exact same way. Then you've got affinity audiences. So these, again, just like in-market audiences, are pre-built segments for key passions that are out there. So you might like food, you might be a gamer like myself, or you might be a beauty maven if you like skincare and cosmetics. And that works across search, coming soon, display, and video. But again, for display and video, because you don't have the hook of that keyword, you need to use custom affinity audiences if you want to go a little bit more niche and make your own. So some examples that I've seen used in the past have been Korean food lovers, retro gamers, and men's skincare routine fans, which I'm not sure if I actually fall into. So there's definitely tons of ways that you can use your imagination to build the right audience segments for you. And you can see there's really unlimited possibilities in terms of customizing your messaging towards those audiences across all of our different products. Then when we look at demographic data, we've got tons of ones here. I'm not going to go through like age and genders, parental status and marital status. I think they're pretty well understood, and education. I think behavior and actions is actually really interesting. So if you look at something like home ownership status, and I would have alluded to this earlier with the renter versus homeowner dynamic, we can help you find those different customers. Because say, for example, if you're a furniture company, you're going to want to send very different messaging to people if you're renting versus if you bought a house. If you're renting, you might not go and buy a full kitchen, for example. Consumer patterns is another interesting one as well. So that's regular purchase habits. So say if you regularly shop in big grocery stores, you regularly go to the hair salon, regularly order takeout, it helps you find those different customer segments as well. And then finally, life events. So that could be, for example, if you've just bought a home, you've just got married, just had a baby. Life events, when you go through them, your purchase decisions are up in the air. Like if you've just bought a home, maybe you've never thought about what DIY store I'm going to regularly go to. So that's the times where you can start reaching those people who are going through those seismic shifts where they actually need the help of an advertiser. And then finally, all the great work that you did earlier in terms of defining all those new audience lists is going to help you actually figure out what's the right audiences I should be using to find new customers. So when it comes to our audience insights, we have a tool in Google Ads, which is really neat. So if you go into your audience manager and click on the audience insights, it's on the left-hand side, or if you click into any remarketing list in Google Ads, we'll have already built a report very much like this. So we'll show you what are the top in-market audiences for the list that you've chosen, what are the top affinity audiences, the top device, the top location, for most of you in the room, it might be Ireland, the top gender, age. We'll show you if we've made a similar audience and give you some additional insights, and then crucially, are you actually using it or not? So what I do with my clients is on a regular basis, we'll have a look at, say, the all converter list, for example, and say, okay, are we actually using all of the in-market audiences here if we're trying to reach new customers as well? It's a really interesting one. It is a constant surprise for everyone who I've ever done it with, but it's a really great bit of hygiene to have a look through and to really help you get started with Google Audiences as well. So, quick recap. We brought you through people that you know, we've bought from you and engaged with you. We brought you through people that you don't know yet, so with similar audiences, in-market, affinity, and demographics as well. So, last ask from me, please check out the Audience Insights report and any of the top in-market audiences that you're not already testing. Try testing them out across our products in Google Ads. Cool, that is it from me. I'm going to hand over to Lien to bring you through how you can put it into practice.
Great. Thank you, Dave. So guys, Dave has taken us through a host of products and features that we can use for audience. That's all great, and I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, okay, great, but how do I actually get started? Or if I'm already doing some of this, how do I continue and get better? So in the next section, I'll propose some scenarios for how to do that, and I'll share some of our most golden tips. So one of the best places to start is, of course, a good old-fashioned honest audit. Before you start thinking about new innovations or tech overhauls or holistic audience overhauls, look at what you're already doing in one of your channels. And this is especially important if you work in an organization that is quite separate in terms of channels. So for example, maybe in search you already have some insight and all it takes is looking at your Google Ads account. You might see that you're targeting people that are in the market for landscape design, like Dave is, and that audience has 15% better CTR than the rest of your activity. That is a great reason to take that audience and apply it to another channel. Do you have a video campaign targeting this audience so that you can reach more people? Or are you only doing the more old school, simply targeting demographics and by age and gender? So that's one good way to think about it. Along the same lines, you might also find that this is a good way to go into a new channel that you're not already using. So for example, again in search, maybe you're using an audience from your CRM database that is people that haven't bought from you in the last 6 months. Again, your lapsed audience. That's a good reason to maybe look at a channel you might be less familiar with, like Gmail ads. Target that audience and run ads to get to the top of that user's inbox. Okay, so that's a simple audit approach. If that's too simple for you guys, let's take it to the next level. So I'm about to show you a more comprehensive audit that we did for one of our telecom businesses that we work with, and it's a lot more granular. But this is a really good one to do if you want to figure out what you're already doing. You put it down on paper or on Excel, and you're able to see what you're already doing. It's also a great one if you want to address other parts of your organization that don't understand what you're doing. If it's an organization that has teams that don't all look at Google Ads accounts. Or if your boss comes to you and says, hey, what are we doing with audiences? This can be a good one. A good place to start is with the segmentation that Dave has already used, which is people you know and people you don't know. If you then take this to the next more granular level, people you know breaks down into people that have bought from you, or maybe people that have engaged with you and haven't bought from you. That's data that you might already have. And then under people you don't know, there's the main buckets that we've already explained, the similar audiences, in-market, affinity, demographics, and more. And then you take everything that you're doing and you jot it down, and that gives you the full picture. You write down the list that you're already using. Make sure you define the list as well. So if you have a list of people that are dormant and lapsed, how do you define that? Is it people that haven't bought from you in a year? Is it people that haven't bought from you in 3 months or haven't renewed a contract with you? And then also jot down the list durations that you're using. When we say duration, we're talking about how long we're letting a cookie live on a list. The maximum that Google Ads allows is 540 days. So is a given list, does it look back 540 days? Does it look back only 30 days? Jot that down. And then also make sure you mark the data source for this. By looking at all of this and by doing this exercise, you'll be able to also spot gaps and figure out the things that you're not already doing. So that's that for audits and assessments. But I also want to give you guys a little bit of theoretical framework. And there's one theory that we actually use a lot when we talk about audience strategy here at Google, and that's the theory of MIS. Can I just see with a show of hands who here has heard of MIS? Great, actually no one, amazing. So I get to sound clever even though I don't really work with this. So in consulting world, MIS is a principle that stands for mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. And it specifically comes from McKinsey that uses this framework quite regularly. And what it basically is, it is a business mapping process and a grouping principle that says the best arrangement for information is to be exhaustive with that information and also to avoid duplication at any level of hierarchy. So we borrow that concept in audience strategy to simply say to you guys, make sure you're collecting all the data available to you, and when you're creating your user segments, when you're creating your audience segments, try not to have any user fit into 2 or more segments. That can be a bit hard to achieve perfectly with audiences, but that should be the goal, because that allows you to create subsets of people that you can address uniquely and distinctly. I'll give you a really, really simple application of this. So let's say we have a group of people, and we want to decide, well, first of all, we're gathering everybody, so we're being exhaustive, and we want to decide that we want to segment them by year of birth. And the reason is that no single person can have 2 years of birth. We wouldn't do this with nationality because it is possible to have dual nationality. So that's a very simple explanation of this principle. And at audiences, what it actually means is, if you're running dynamic remarketing, make sure you have a catch-all audience so that you're speaking to everyone. If you're running RLSA, make sure you have a list of people that have visited your website going back to 540 days. And that's your largest addressable audience. So that's the principle of MIS. So beyond theory, if I'm to look at the work that I've done with businesses in my career so far and boil down all the different steps of activation to help get them from good to great, here is the shortcut that I want to give you guys, the 5 main steps. And we'll start from the bottom. So step 1, like we kind of already said, target your maximum addressable audience with a catch-all list. Go wide, think big. Then step 2, make sure you're prepared to scale audience data across all of your campaigns. We've moved away from approaches whereby in search, for example, we have a campaign that's doing retargeting, a campaign that isn't. And instead we say scale your data in as many campaigns as possible. And then the third step, well, if we're scaling data everywhere, not all lists are born equal. Not all lists are equally valuable to you guys. And that's where managing bids and bid adjustments in your accounts becomes important. Make sure you are looking at your list level reporting, because you'll be able to see, okay, this list here has better conversion rate than all my other lists, and therefore it deserves a bid adjustment so that I'm investing more in that list. Then the fourth step is, well, okay, you've talked to your widest addressable audience. Next up, you might want to segment those big audiences into specific user buckets so that you can start to think about different messaging approaches to those different segments. And then last but not least, as we kind of already said, make sure you're testing the things that are working for you in a given channel in other channels as well so that you can achieve scale. Of course, scale unlocks market share. You guys probably already talk about market share quite a bit, but I also want you, after this presentation, to think about user share as well. And here's why. We might have an audience that's 10 million people, so we're working with Ireland, and we also have a little bit of export. That's my biggest addressable audience. The reality is, though, we're not going to be able to reach all of those people. And here's why. So first up is, we might have some campaign settings that are restrictive. Maybe we have restricted inventory targeting, and that cuts down our audience of 10 million down to 7 million. Then there's ad formats. We might not be using the formats that are best designed for maximum reach, and that cuts down our audience even further. Then there's the realities of budget. Maybe we have a campaign that's doing really well, our dynamic marketing campaign is doing well, but maybe it's budget capped, because at the moment I don't have the budget to unlock it further, and that cuts down our audience even further. And then last but not least, maybe we're not able to run with the most competitive bids, and all of a sudden, we've gone from an audience of 10 million down to 0.75. That's the reality of user share. And my point behind this is, it's really important to try to use the best practices for audience. Some of those best practices are now being surfaced in the recommendation section of your Google Ads accounts. So you're automatically getting recommendations in there if you're already using Google Ads accounts. But I also want to tell you guys what are some of the main best practices that we talk about and that we advise to our customers. So the first one, I don't know if you guys have already heard of this, but it's responsive display ads. It's one of our most recent format innovations in display. And what it basically does is we allow you to give us a number of different images, as well as text, yes, text for display, your logos, your headlines, your URLs. You give us all of those assets in one easy-to-upload bundle in Google Ads, and we do the hard work in turning them into different combinations of assets, turning them into different placements that can work on different parts of the website or the app that you are appearing on display. So we can turn it into a skyscraper, we can turn it into something that fits on mobile, something that fits on desktop. And the way that we do that is the magic in the middle that uses machine learning. We do tons of creative testing combinations to figure out which type of asset works best in different auctions and for different users. So that's responsive display. There's a similar one then that we have for search. Responsive search ads is, again, somewhat more recent. And what it is basically instead of asking you to write all the different ad copies one by one, and we know that for a lot of PPC teams, if any of you guys work in PPC, ad copy creation takes a lot of time. We instead ask you to upload up to 15 headlines and up to 4 description lines, and we do the mashups for you. We turn them into different combinations and different ads that will work for different auctions and different users. And we're able to see with the performance data in your accounts what is performing best in different types of auctions, and we use that more and more. So that's responsive search ads. So both of these formats, when combined with audiences, can help you achieve maximum user share and maximum reach. Another one then, a slightly lesser known one, but it's called if functions for search. This is a format in search that allows you to adjust the ad copy automatically, depending on whether you're reaching somebody who is in one of your retargeting lists or somebody who isn't. It's a very simple syntax that you can initiate in your Google Ads ad copy by using the brace bracket. And you basically say, if an audience is in this list, I want to run this type of ad copy. I want to show them a promotion. But if somebody is not, I want to show them default ad copy. So we've seen that advertisers who use if functions for search are able to get really good CTR uplifts because they're personalizing the message for different audiences. And then last but not least is smart bidding. If you guys were here at the last breakfast briefing, you would have heard about this in detail. If not, you can go to our YouTube channel, which is Google and YouTube Ireland, to look at the previous breakfast briefing and learn more about smart bidding. We're, of course, referring to automated bidding, so that's target CPA bidding, bidding to target ROAS, or enhanced CPC bidding. And guess what? Smart bidding works really, really well with audiences. It's a really good combination. We typically say with audiences, try to have 5 or 10 different lists per ad group. The reality is across an account, that is a lot of lists to manage, especially if you're doing the bid adjustments that I've talked about. That is a lot of bid adjustments and bids to have to think about. So you can let smart bidding do the hard work. There's 2 reasons why smart bidding works really well with audiences, and those reasons are overlap and recency. Starting with overlap, our system is able to see if you have a user that fits into 2 audiences at a time. So for example, you might have somebody who added something to basket on your website, and they're also part of another audience, which is your CRM list for most loyal users. That user may be more valuable and more important to you than somebody who just added something to basket. And that's something that smart bidding is able to see and adjust the bids accordingly for you. On top of other signals that it uses, such as what location is the user in, what time of day is it, what keyword have they used, and is it a very highly converting keyword. So it uses all of these signals to make a prediction about how likely that user is to convert. And then recency is the other one. Our system is able to see how long a user has been on a list. So even if you upload a list that goes back 540 days, we'll be able to see which user in that list only did the action in your list 180 days ago, and which one did it 10 days ago. And obviously, the second scenario is more important to you, so it'll adjust the bids accordingly and go more competitively for that user. So smart bidding and audiences work really well together, which is why we see that when advertisers use automated bidding and not last click attribution and audiences all together, they get 27% more conversion volume than advertisers who don't do that. So really good reason to use this best practice. So I want to leave you guys with a couple of examples of businesses that have brought this to life and that have used audiences effectively. I see a lot of you guys taking photos fervently, which is great. We'll also be sharing the slides with you afterwards. But one example is Hertz. So Hertz's challenge was that they're already a very well-known brand. They already have a lot of market share. Do you guys work for Hertz? Do we have somebody who... Okay, so I thought there was somebody that really related to this. So they have a lot of market share already, and their challenge was that they wanted to find more users, but they wanted to do it in a way that was really cost efficient. So what they did was they ran RLSA for search. They ran similar audiences to find new users that look like their valuable users. And they also ran customer match to leverage their CRM data. And they combined all of this with target ROAS bidding. And as a result, they got a 70% increase in conversion rate, which is very strong. I'll give you one more example, a different one. And that's Purple, the mattress maker. Their particular challenge was that they wanted to be more known, and they also wanted to be considered at the stage of users, at the stage when users were doing research. We all know that it takes a little bit of time to find the right mattress. So what they did is they selected, they made a selection of keywords, relevant keywords for the mattress category and relevant for competitor brand terms, for example, and they uploaded it in their account as custom intent. And then they ran video campaigns against that very specific and relevant audience. And as a result, they actually got a return of ad spend that was better than their non-brand search, which is very powerful results. So these are a couple of examples of businesses bringing this to life that I wanted to use to inspire you guys. To recap everything that Dave and I have talked about today, there's three main things. Like Dave said, collect and use all the data that is available to you so that you can reach the people that you know. Use our Google solutions to tap into people that you don't know and increase your reach and increase your sales volumes. And then finally, think Mies and follow best practices in order to achieve maximum user share and ultimately market share. So that's all the content for today, guys. So what I want to do next, remember the question I asked you earlier around think about something that you're in the market for. So I'll have my trusty colleague Lindy help me with this. We have a Google bag to give out, so I just want to hear from you guys. You can just start shouting it out, things that you're in the market for, the most interesting thing that you can think of. The what, sorry? Okay, great, so you are in horses. Yes, okay, I know nothing about horse riding, great. What else have we got? What? Symbols. Is that actually true? Great, amazing. You're in somebody's in-market audience for instruments. What else have we got? A what? Golf discs. Okay, amazing. What else? Sorry?
Prank tools.
What are those? Sorry?
I got pranked, so I want to counter prank my friend again.
Have you decided on a prank?
Yeah.
What is it going to be? Oh, you can't tell us. Great. Okay, what else have we got?
An electric scooter.
We were having a debate with some friends yesterday about this. They're a very divisive device. Okay, great. What else? Sorry? Okay, great. Okay. Okay, Lindy, what do you think?
Which one do we think? I have to say, I think the dressage is the one. The one that goes at me.
Dressage, you get the goodie bag for today. Woo! Okay, guys, we'll stay on stage. We have a few minutes for one or two questions. And what we'll do, just think about what you want to ask, and we'll be passing around microphones. Is that right? Oh, yes, throwing around microphones. Great. So we have a question up front already. Nice and close, Lindy.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Manuel. I got a question in terms of ad ranking and quality score. Okay, I definitely want to pay you less, guys, and I want to concentrate on quality score and ad rank because that gives me somehow the smart way actually to beat the guys with big budgets like, for example, Hearst. So from all what you said there, how can we improve and be smart in regards of putting our ads and relevance there, by the rank ads and its quality score. That's the point, yeah?
Yes, great question. So I'll give you an answer that I think will apply to a lot in the audience. And if there's something a little bit more specific to your case, Dave and I will be around afterwards and we can talk about it. But the answer is what you've already said, which is smart. And it goes back to what I referenced in terms of smart bidding. The key is not so much in the quality score reporting, which is a little bit tough to unpack because we don't get all of the insight about quality score in Google Ads. It's more what you said, that you want to pay us less, which makes a lot of sense. You want to be efficient. So automated bidding can really help you do this. And it's just a case of, rather than deciding what is my goal in terms of quality score, what is my goal in terms of ROI, which is cost per acquisition or ROAS, or whatever the ideal metric is. And by applying automated bidding, you'll be able to see that, okay, you're reaching your audiences, but you're also achieving a CPA goal and doing this at good ROI.
Automated? Hello. Automated bidding is Google deciding what to bid.
Exactly.
Which I don't trust much, because it's always asking me to put up and up and up and up, okay?
Yep.
So my bidding. So what I want to nail here, okay, guys, is how can Google tell me to improve your score by this without putting the bidding up, okay? Yep. Because I'm putting my website with a lot of SEO, a lot of quality score there, and still it's asking me to put up and up.
Yep.
So.
You don't have to trust it in and of itself. It's just a question of testing. And I'm sure testing is something you guys all do all the time, or should be. But you are able to run small scale. I do go back to automated bidding. I am an automation guru as well, and I'm a big believer in this. I've also worked with big companies that have had for years mistrust in automation. It's a tough thing to get our heads around. And that have invested a lot in building their own bidding systems that they can fully control, that have since been converted onto automated bidding, because it is designed to help you achieve your ROI goals. Again, you set the ROI goal in the account, and it's designed to help you achieve that. So if you don't trust that, it's fully okay and fully understandable, but it's just a case of testing. Testing can be easy. Again, take something that's a little bit smaller scale rather than your whole activity. You can use our drafts and experiment solution to do a small scale A/B test and clearly see the results. Okay, has ROAS increased my sales and maintain my CPC and also help me achieve ROI? You can see those metrics. Or if you don't want to do drafts and experiments, you can simply activate, let it run for 5 weeks, and do a before and after comparison. So I do go back to, there's not much that we're geared to in terms of improving quality score in and of itself. That's a mechanic and a factor that feeds into the wider picture. The wider picture I want to focus on is what you said, which is you don't want to have to pay us the maximum amount to get your marketing results. And you want to have good ROI. So because of that, I do go back to automated bidding.
And what I would say as well is when it comes to audiences on search, you can always apply them at 0% and just start to get some insights into how they're performing. Are they actually outperforming non-audience traffic as well? So maybe that's another insight you can apply to your campaigns as well.
Yeah, and actually with our advertisers, we typically say, figure out who you want to reach. From the people you don't know, what in-markets do you like? Or from the list that you already have, who do you want to reach? Add them to your campaigns, and for the first few weeks, don't do any bid adjustments. See what actually works well for you, and see what's driving the best CTRs, the best conversion rates, and afterwards make decisions around bidding. Because it is true, none of us here are here because we want to drive up our bids. Great.
Thank you.
One more question?
Cool. One more down.
Good morning. Thank you very much. That was very good. In one of the earlier parts of the presentation, you used the term passing your app user data into Google Analytics.
Yes.
Does that actually work for native apps?
For native apps, in terms of?
So the apps that are specifically built for the platform as opposed to mobile applications that are web applications.
Oh, right, yes. So for web applications, if they're like a progressive web app or essentially, if it's downloaded through the iOS or the Google Play stores, then things like Firebase and other third parties are like tracking providers that can start to do that for you. If it's just like a normal web app that you save as like a shortcut to your phone, then things like a remarketing tag, because it's going to be in a browser window anyway, would be the things that you would be focusing on.
Yeah, no, great, thanks. We get people we want to move everybody to an application, a native app, for a better experience. But all our web activity is being monitored before that. But I was just wondering, could you actually now monitor the activity and take that data from the native app and apply it to Google Analytics? But I don't think you can. That's probably what I'm hearing there.
So from a native app that's on like iOS and Android, you can pass that in. There's different integrations that pass that data into Google Analytics. Then you can export it back into Google Ads, or you can just skip Google Analytics altogether if you want to. Thanks. Things like Firebase or AppsFlyer, a lot of my clients use those two particular technologies to do that.
Thank you.
Cool.
Right, guys. So that's pretty much it from us this morning. As we said, Leanne and David are going to be outside to take any other questions that you may have, and if you want to get that opportunity to talk to them one-to-one. I know there's been a huge amount of information here, lots of stuff that I hope we all feel inspired to start actioning when we go back to our desks today. But before we wrap up for the weekend, can you help me give Leanne and David a big warm congratulations? Lastly, our next breakfast briefing is going to be focusing on export, which is going to be on the 3rd of May. We will also be sending around the feedback forms and all of the content for today. It'll also be uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So please do keep an eye out for that in your inboxes. Guys, thank you so much for coming and have a great weekend. Cheers.
Thank you.